Hey y'all, the paranormal chick here. Thank you for joining me for episode 3 of my podcast. Let's dive deep into the myths and legends of the Mothman Harbinger of Doom. It all began in West Virginia. Around mid-November 1966, two gravediggers in Clendon, West Virginia saw a black figure fly over their heads while digging a grave in a cemetery. Shortly after, the residents in a small town in Point Pleasant started seeing and reporting sightings of a creature. In one instance, two young couples fled the local woods near the TNT area, claiming they had seen a terrifying creature. They recounted their story to the sheriff and reported that the entity looked human in most respects, except for that it had 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes. Mothman officially hit the newspaper and reports came flooding in of sights and encounters. Unbeknownst to her, news reporter Mary Heyer will be front and center in creating one of the most prolific paranormal legends to transcend time. Heyer's first story published Wednesday, November 16, 1966, and on page 1 to boot. It read, "Winged red-eyed thing chases point couples across countryside." It began with, "What stands 6 feet tall, has wings, 2 big red eyes, 6 inches apart, and glides along behind an auto at 100 miles an hour? Don't know? Well, neither do 4 Point Pleasant residents who were chased by a weird man-like thing Tuesday night." The story describes two couples riding in a car together in a rural area north of Point Pleasant. They saw the creature and tried to drive away, but it chased them down the highway into a nearby farm. Later, the couples and the police returned to the farm. A deputy said the thing was gone, but he found a strange pile of dust. Heyer's report concludes the men said they might go looking for the thing tonight, but indicated they were afraid they might find it. Well, those witnesses wouldn't have to wait that long. A day later came a follow-up report from Heyer. It read, "Monster returns to Mason." 6 or maybe 7 more people became believers in the Mason County monster Wednesday night, Heyer wrote. What is it they saw? They don't know. But they have managed to convince a raft of people they saw something. The second story told of more witnesses seeing the creature in 2 spots, the rural area from the first report, as well as a stretch of Route 7 near Cheshire. Evidently, the creature thought it's fair to try spooking those on the other side of the Ohio River as well. Again, the police were called, and again, a search was conducted. As with the previous night, they proved fruitless. Word of more witnesses spread, though soon the area was flooded with curious sightseers. Like Salt demanding a golden ticket, Heyer reported that one child demanded a parent drive them to the alleged Mothman site to see it right now. Heyer even snagged an interview with perhaps the most first ever Mothman conspiracy theorist. You see, it's that talk of going to the moon and stuff, he told the messenger. It's hard to tell what they caused to come back to Earth. In the third story about the Mason County monster, printed 3 days later, rumors are flying through Mason County faster than that thing, Heyer's report began, which has been spotted by several people in various locations. The story goes on to say that each description from various witnesses contains the phrase, red eyes, 6 inches apart. Heyer's news reports were making nationwide coverage. Everyone wanted to know what the residents of the small West Virginia county were seeing. Heyer's next article, "Creature Sighted in Daylight," was from a witness who saw the creature during the day. All this time, witness accounts had been at night. The witness stated, "I never saw anything like it," she quoted a new witness, as the new witness was saying. "I just couldn't go to work today. This thing had wingspan every bit of 10 feet. It could be a bird, but I surely never saw one like it." Of course, fear began to set up. It's one thing seeing this creature at night. Residents could chalk it up to make-believe or overzealous teens trying to get attention. But the daylight sightings, now that's a different ballgame. Another witness, a man, was headed to a farm north of Point Pleasant when he claimed to have seen a creature rise up just like a helicopter. It then flew overhead at approximately 70 miles an hour toward the Ohio River. Whatever it is, Heyer concluded, the creature has convinced other frightened motorists that it isn't a figment of imagination. The monster beat went cold for a few weeks, but Heyer's front-page article December 12th, Cheshire's people tell of strange sightings, brought it flooding back. One resident described in that article of seeing the saucer-shaped objects in the sky, while others told of seeing red and orange lights shining from the nearby Ohio River. In this report is the mention of John Keel, said to be the magazine writer from New York City who visited Point Pleasant to interview witnesses. Keel would go on to write the 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, which was adapted into a 2002 feature film. It's the one with Richard Gere. In my opinion, I recommend watching it. Over 100 reported sightings followed. Many eyewitnesses were shaken by their encounters, and some still won't talk about it today. And then that fateful day. On December 15, 1967, Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The disaster claimed lives of 46 people. Some witness accounts state the Mothman appeared in the sky above the Ohio River before the collapse. Whether he appeared or not, the collapse and death of so many loved ones that fateful night devastated the small community for years to come. The Mothman sighting stopped shortly after the Silver Bridge disaster. But that leads me to folklore. The stories of old. The stories of harbingers of death and destruction. Believe it or not, the Mothman shares similarities with banshees from Irish and Scottish folklore. The banshee is a herald of it heralds despair with its chilling cries as they're heard through the still of the night. It usually means that there's going to be a report of death the following morning. They are said to be evil beings that have the appearance of a wretched old hag, dress shredded, matted gray hair, pointed, rotted teeth, long yellow fingernails, and they're typically female. If she sets her mind to have you as her prey, she will stalk you, forcing you to listen to her soul-wrenching scream of despair until you go insane, and your own soul is lost in the depths of her evil cry. There is a legend surrounding Bunratty Castle in County Clare. In the early 16th century, it was reported that a visitor to the O'Brien family home was staying in a room overlooking the river and was woken by a piercing scream. Upon investigation, the guest was horrified to see a pale, deathly face floating at the window, disheveled, red hair cascading over her face. The following morning, the lady told of her experience and then was promptly told by a family member that another family member had died in that castle that night. The Banshee was believed to be the spirit of the wife of a worker who drowned in the river by the former castle lord, and with her revenge was to bring death to the descendants of the castle. So that leads me back to the Mothman. Was the Mothman a harbinger of doom? Was he a warning to impending death? What did those residents of West Virginia see? Could it have been mass hysteria? You know, that once somebody sees something, everybody else starts seeing it. And then what about that pesky rumor of the 46 people who lost their lives were said to have the bloody red eye. I guess we'll never know. The Mothman was never seen in West Virginia again. The town does have a Mothman festival, and they do have statues of Mothman everywhere. But they've not ever yet to see him ever again. Now, do we want to see the Mothman? Probably not. Not if he's a true harbinger of doom or harbinger of death. But ultimately, it's up to you. You'll have to decide for yourself. Was it mass hysteria that caused all those residents to see those sightings? Or was it truly something that they saw in the night and daylight hours that eventually led up to the collapse and the death of all those people? That's all I have for you today. And as always, tell me what you think. I want to hear it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, if you have a story or experience, or even a special request, send them to me. They can be sent to theparanormalchick@gmail.com. You can also listen and watch this full episode along with the movie reel that I'll create on my YouTube channel at The Paranormal Chick. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all, and until tomorrow, my friends.